we're doing at this stage in the proceedings is just taking a look back at that fight at the weekend. KSI, YouTuber, against Tommy Fury of, yes, the Fury boxing family. Spencer Oliver joins Mark, myself and Simon this lunchtime. Spence, good afternoon to you. Andy Townsend on breakfast this morning were saying what an absolute joke of an event. I was one of the idiots that paid 20 quid for it. They've got gloves on, but it certainly isn't boxing. Even after the fight, we had a corrected judge's scorecard. One of the judges gave it a draw. They added up again. It was 57-56. It was then a unanimous decision, and it went in Fury's favour. What do you make of it? And what do you make of the fact that, like it or not, live in talkSPORT, it had a live stream audience of 2.4 million?
I know, insane. The numbers were absolutely insane. Shows your appetite for it. But look, we've got to understand that there's a home for this, right? You got your professional boxing and you've got this. This is white collar boxing at its best, if I'm totally honest. It's great entertainment. I think the build up's great. Sometimes they go too far with what they're doing, but I understand it because it's all about the numbers with them. It's all about numbers, clickbait, etc., etc. So they get carried away sometimes with the build up, but that's the world that they live in. But as an event, it was great. You know, I think the event was great. The two main events were not so great.
I mean, at the end of the day, Sammy, you cannot argue with that 2.4 million.
Yeah. I mean, I stumbled on past it as I was going to the toilet. I wish I'd stayed in the toilet and watched it. But I actually watched it with some friends of mine's sons.
Did you pay for it?
No.
Be honest, Simon.
I didn't. Absolutely not. In the same way that I wouldn't watch Conor Benn at this moment in time because
looks like you paid for it, didn't
I didn't. I most certainly didn't. It's a pirate sequel, actually. But I watch these young lads, these 19, 20-year-olds, and they're absolutely all over it. And they look at these KSIs of the world. Even my daughter, who's 16, likes KSI, and I'm watching it going, I see nothing in it. I see the commercials. I understand that it's a different space. I understand, but what I don't like is the Tommy Furies of the world crossing over from the boxing world. That's the part. They want to fight amongst themselves. They want to knock themselves to Palookaville, fill their boots, right? When you start hearing Jake Paul going, I'm going to go in against Canelo Alvarez, it starts to make me feel this is ridiculous. But when you see the auditorium, you see Calasal and Gerland and his brother sitting next to him, and Chris Eubank Jr. sitting there, and the boxing world looking at it because they see a pound note in it. It is what it is. But for me, as a person that enjoys boxing and enjoys the sport of boxing and really values the authenticity of it, this is WWE.
Yeah. I think the problem we've got, the boxing purists are upset about it. Boxing's the umbrella of what they're doing here. It is a big event. They have cages to start, and
the boxing purists are upset, reinvented because there's a new kid in the block, and it's them.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, listen, it's not like they're taking over, but must understand that. Like I say,
aren't they?
No, they're not taking over. There's a home for this. It's something totally different. You know, if you love your boxing, because that's the younger generation. That's what I'm saying. The younger generation, the YouTubers, that they all grow up. They all grow up like my kids did. I'm sure yours did as well, Simon. They don't grow up watching TV. They don't watch EastEnders and Coronation Street, etc. They watch YouTube, and these people True. I was going up on the train. I was on the train with some kid who I didn't have a clue he was. We started talking. He's a big YouTuber. He's from the States, coming over to try and get a fight. So I'm thinking, he says, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to get this fight with Tommy Fury or whatever." Didn't know who he was. Sent my daughter a picture. She's like, "Oh my God, who's this guy? How are you getting on the train with him?" Like, they are superstars in their own rights.
The thing that really burns my backside, metaphorically speaking, as we mentioned toilets, was the idea that these are not guys. Tommy Fury is not the best in class, and these guys are getting paid enormous amounts of money to be very mediocre at what they're doing. And I like to see talent, real talent, get rewarded.
KSI, sure, in a very good fitness state himself, trained hard for the fight. Looks like a fighter. Tommy Fury, the same. 2.4 million watching a live stream. They will get more headlines, Simon, than the likes of Aziz Bouatsi this weekend.
Yes, that is indeed true.
And surely that is a problem for the purists to get their heads around.
I suppose the question is, so what lessons do the boxers learn from it? What can they take from it? Is it about self-promotion?
It's like the next generation of promoters have got to digitally market their fighters better.
That's right.
They've got to bring them to an audience. They've got to accept that linear broadcasting isn't the only way to go. Years ago, you saw Frank Warren trying to break out, built the Fox Nation side of things, trying to build a content model. You look at DAZN as a concept principle, which is basically the perfect home for this sort of scenario because it's a digitally based, app-driven business anyway.
I think that this Misfits boxing has saved his own
from
falling out of boxing because of the numbers that they're turning around. I think that was the 10th show. But they're the ones, if you look at this, like I say, the pay-per-view model that they've set up, £20, I think they've broke all records. They've done over 1.5 million views. That's more than Joshua, say, Klitschko.
Yeah. I was going to say, will we see a rematch? Of course we'll see a rematch.
I don't resent these kids and these YouTubers. I don't think they're YouTubers. They're broadcasters. These are guys that are prepared to go and fight and make some money for themselves. But what I do look at it and go is that it's not what other people are. When I see Canelo being indexed to it, when I see Floyd Mayweather, I'm looking at it going, okay, does everything have to be about rewarding this kind of mediocrity, and it all is about the pound note? Of course, I understand the value of money. Christ, I understand the value of money. But I also think, for me personally, looking at boxing, I look at it through the eyes of seeing authenticity and integrity behind it. I look at this and I think, it's WWE. Yeah. I admire Vince McMahon. You know, I think they've done a wonderful thing. But it's choreographed. This isn't choreographed, but it isn't the real deal. And I think that there's a space for both. And the purists don't have to get their knickers in a twist. But there is this crossover between people like Tommy Fury that are making out like bandits without being the real deal. Back to Love Island for you.
It ended with a brawl in the ring. I mean, was it a choreographed brawl? Probably.
Yeah. Listen, I think it ended. I think you had Logan Paul was boxing, wasn't he? He was boxing a guy, Dillon Danis, who's a UFC star, MMA star, whatever. But all he done, Dillon, was he come over here and there'd been a lot of online beef between the two. But he's a UFC star. I actually predicted before the fight he'll lose by disqualification because the kid couldn't fight. Logan was like, there was this online abuse. He didn't want to go out by losing, so he got disqualified.
I don't know why we're debating with this little toad for, because he was in part responsible for these people. He's behind the idea behind KSI. Just sitting there with a gormless grin on his face.
I assume he's referring to you.
See this abuse that I take, Martin. This is a regular occurrence.
Before you do leave us, or sort of bound out of the room if you are a little
Pop out.
John Fury, father of Tyson's role in all of this.
Oh, wow.
Where has he got to? Because anytime I look at social media and John Fury's on it, he's either chucking something at somebody, he's screaming something at somebody.
I think on Thursday at the press conference, he didn't chuck anything. He didn't really scream a lot. I think he got his ass out on this one and done a mooney at the rest of the people or whatever. So, I mean, was that a bad word to use?
Yes, dumb.
Well, it is what it is.
Apparently, he
got his bottom out.
Yes, he produced his backside.
Yeah. Yeah. Where does he sit in it all? Like he's creating a role for himself. I think he's becoming a star in his own right, doing what he's doing, and that's the world we live in, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, will there be a rematch? No doubt.
I think that we'll see Jake Paul in with Tommy Fury next. I know Tommy was talking about now wanting to focus back on boxing, but how can you do that, right? When you look at Tommy Fury and you go, is he even British title level at the moment? No. Probably not. And you go, so if you look at that and the money that he'll earn, he'll go in and he'll box Jake Paul and he'll earn the best part of $5 million quid. Yeah. Where would you go?
Well, the thing is, they will just come back to us and say, all right, we hear what you're saying. Do we get an audience? And the answer to that is
yes.
Yeah. All righty, Spencer Oliver, you can bound out the studio now.
I'm going to do a show now with Mr. Colfrots, talk boxing, because Simon's dropped us out. Simon's dropped us out this week. Apparently he wasn't working, but I've just seen him in the studio. But anyway, another story.
He's negotiating a panto, apparently.